On this episode of Delivering Marketing Joy, I talk with Eric Granata from Robyn Promotions. He tells us what to look for in tech. This episode of Delivering Marketing Joy is brought to you by Gold Star. When you're looking for the simplest, most creative ways to buy promotional writing instruments, go to goldstarpens.com/DMJ to learn more and get your free Simplicity Starter Kit. Well, hey there, and welcome to another edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hasseman, and joining me today is an industry rock star, Eric Granata. He's the VP of Business Development for Robyn Promotions, and a guy you should definitely follow on Twitter. Thanks so much, Eric. I appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. It's an honor. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you spoke this year at commonsku. I see you're repping the gear right now. They had a commonsku event in Vegas, and you were kind of the tech guy. So in a marketing industry, do you like being labeled that way? Why? Why not?
I do like being labeled that way. You know, being a nerd or a geek used to be a bad thing. But for some reason, these days, our culture has begun to value STEM, and maybe it's because, not Benzo, what's his name?
Bezos?
Bezos, Benzo, something else, isn't it?
I love it.
Yeah, Bezos and Elon, they're these like titans of industry and almost a little scary in terms of like supervillain status.
Totally.
So with that in mind, knowing that the tech guys kind of hold the keys to the kingdom now, I'm very comfortable being the tech guy. Yeah. And I think we're set up very nicely to move forward with our campaign to take revenge on those who humiliated us in our youth.
I love it, and I'm glad that you and I are friends.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'll tell you, the thing I like about working in technology is it's fun to dream about this kind of stuff. I'm a big sci-fi fan, not as into it as some people, but I enjoy it, and I think it's because it kind of paints a picture of what could be, and so it's fun to think about this stuff. I also enjoy the experimentation that comes along with it. There's a lot of troubleshooting and problem solving that tech can help with, and experimenting with it is fun. And if you put together a solution and it actually pays off, and nothing beats that feeling.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So, with the idea that you are sort of the tech guy, and your presentation at commonsku, the event was really, really good and eye-opening. What are some tech trends that you see coming, or maybe that are already here that are starting to affect us?
Sure. Well, augmented reality is a big deal, and it's becoming bigger because what we're seeing is we're seeing wider adoption. Obviously, Apple has made it a big part of the iPhone ecosystem, but Adobe's doing a lot too. And I think once we see a standard around augmented reality come to fruition, it's going to take off. And if you're not playing with augmented reality now, you need to get on the train because it's going to be big. And at SKUCon, I talked about augmented reality as far as how it affects people like us who are selling stuff. At Robyn this year, we did a sales flyer for a product that you could scan, and a 3D model of that product would kind of pop up, and you could interact with it, tap a button to get a quote, that kind of thing. And so there's that, but there's also the augmented reality experiences that you can kind of build for your clients. So AR is a big deal. There's a lot of really easy way to kind of get into that. Here's a pro tip for everybody: 8thwall.com, 8thwall.com. Go there, sign up for a free account, upload a model or play around with it, and you'll look like a rock star. Is how I do it.
That's
also,
awesome.
3D printing and hyperlocal manufacturing, I think, is going to be huge, and kind of a one that's kind of has like a dark undertone to it is this automation thing. But I don't think that automation is going to be as bad as we all think it's going to be. I think it's going to actually free up a lot of talent for fledgling industries. So I'm optimistic on that front. The last one I want to mention is lab-grown meat. You know about this, Kirby?
This is news to me.
Okay, so there's a couple companies, Impossible Burger, Beyond Meat or Beyond Burger. It's lab-grown beef, basically, kind of.
Okay.
And I'm sure some of your viewers have probably tried it. I think they're piloting it in some larger cities.
Wow.
But I'm excited about it because it's intriguing, but I think the environmental ramifications of meat that doesn't require so much water and waste and animals full of antibiotics, that's a really fun one to think about. I know it has nothing to do with marketing, but it's
interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Actually, one of the things you said really did strike me is that you said, I don't think this is going to be as bad as we all think it's going to be. That's actually one of the things I feel like about a lot of technology. I think it's amazing to me, no matter what the tech is, someone is spinning it to the worst absolute outcome. Like I remember when the Pokemon thing came out and people were like, kids are going to wander in the streets and get hit by cars and die. And I'm like, well, a week ago you said we should be outside more. So
they probably said the same thing when bicycles came out.
Right.
These kids are going to get hit by horses or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I just think we tend to think the worst possible case scenario, and so many times it's just an awesome kind of input into our life. So
yeah, and I think that kind of gets back to the science fiction piece, because what sci-fi does is it takes this concept like, okay, artificial intelligence, that's a thing now, and it gives the author and the reader an opportunity to look at it from multiple sides. You know, is the good side of it is we're going to have this HAL 9000 that like flies our spaceships. The bad side of it could be that this HAL 9000 sabotages our spaceships. But that's what I think science fiction does such a great job doing, is it looks at a concept and then helps people imagine what the ramifications of that technology could be.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So let's talk lessons. When you have a new employee, you and I were talking that you guys are growing and you're bringing on new people. So when you have a new employee or a person you're mentoring, what are some lessons that you like to share that apply to nearly everyone?
Okay. The first is Google is your friend. And excuse me. I kind of mean that jokingly, but I also really mean it. I'll give you an example from my personal life. A couple of years ago, I was looking at this job ticket from a mechanic and was like, man, there's no way. So I got on YouTube and I thought, okay, how hard is this? How to change your thermostat? Holy crap. It took 5 minutes and it cost me $30. And so ever since then, whenever I see something wrong, specifically with my car, I'll Google it, I'll YouTube it, and man, you'd be surprised at what you can do with a lot of the free resources out there.
No, that's a good one.
Along the same lines, I had just found out last year, are you familiar with the website lynda.com?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Did you know that you can get lynda.com for free with your library card?
I do, yeah.
I had no idea. That's incredible. That's material. And then the last, I just happen to be on this education kick right now. Take advantage of industry education. You know, for us, that means resources from ASI and PPAI. But man, that stuff's out there. You know, and at least in our industry, those trade organizations exist because they want you to succeed. So just Google it.
You know what? I think it's amazing advice, Eric, is that I think more and more today, and it goes back to our conversation about tech, right? Is that tech is what creates that, is that you have access to all of that information at your fingertips. Yeah. There's just so few people who actually do it. And so I think that's tremendous advice. So you have answered my 3 questions. I give everybody a chance to ask me one question. Do you have one for me?
I do have a question for you. So we talk about stuff like AR, virtual reality, voice interaction, all this. And there's definitely a side of me that thinks this is a gimmick. Nobody cares. So how do you determine if a emerging technology is going to have impact or if it's just a gimmick or a fad?
Boy, that is a great question. And I think that's like the $1 million question, because if you can actually look into the future and see that. Couple things. Number one, I think the best way to find out is so many of us just sit on the sideline and just kind of headline read, or we're like, oh, that's stupid and I don't get it. I think the best way to figure out if it's going to be something that could be actually useful to you is to try it, is to really dig in and actually push the buttons, put on the Oculus, do whatever it is, right? And go, oh, okay, I can see how this, and really try to open your mind and see how you might implement it in your own life, whether it's business or pleasure, right? And then the other thing I really do is try to see what people are doing. Like, I remember vividly when Snapchat, I was kind of early to Snapchat. Why? Because my daughters were on Snapchat. And I wanted to interact and see how it was. And it turns out I still use it a ton with my family. But it's about kind of having an open mind to try it and look dumb. Because I think that's actually one of the things that's a problem, is people like, well, I don't want to look stupid. And understanding that if it's an early platform, everybody looks stupid and you're just playing around. I really do. I think the best way to figure out if tech's going to help your life is to actually try it.
Yeah, agreed.
Cool. All right, man. Dude, thank you so much. We will definitely have to do this again sometime. And I appreciate you taking the time, bud.
Thanks, Kirby.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.